This is the start of the third row. Some very tall versions you can see right here of Kids Climax. I got one that's tall and one that's not so tall, but you can start to see that it's pushing buds out. This one is about 25% higher than I would normally expect, but when these blooms come out, the stalks have no difficulty in handling blooms that are anywhere 9-10 inches across and roughly like that. This is a plant that was put out on the market in 1940, and it's been a lovely one since that point in time. It's got leaves that I can just scarcely believe for the colors of green and the healthy looking and the flat and the leaves that don't seem to be visited by bugs or whatever. They just stay in great shape. It's just one of my favorite long-term plants. And now next, you can see in this pink, this is Hamari Rose. I've already got requests for a number of these to go out at the end of the year, but I don't know how many I'll be passing along. It's one that the folks in the cut flower trade can scarcely do without. There's a number of them in that pink, light pink, coffee colored hue that all go together in bouquets, especially in the wedding bouquets and such. But that's a lovely one. Anyway, there's 4 plants of Hamari Rose, which is a ball, color is pink. Now, next in line here, we have Dahlia Daniel. I am happy to say that these plants look pretty good this year. The ones that I had last year where they were interfered with mechanically, I read that to mean that a dog ran through and then they got broken down in the wind, and so that while the plants didn't get much of a chance to bloom and didn't get a chance to get much height, there was nothing health-wise wrong with them. This has been one that has been a favorite of mine for many, many years. Just a beautiful shaped ball, a lovely color, and with decent stems on them. This stem on this particular one would be about 14 inches long. Might be a little long for show, but this is one then obviously that you wouldn't be as tempted to put under an umbrella. You'd be tempted to put it more in full sun so that the stem would stay perhaps a little shorter. But you can see that there's a nice collection of blooms that are coming up on here. This is just the first blush of these. Looking forward to that. Next one here is a little bit lower kind of a plant. It's a AA formal decorative bicolor burgundy and white called Acandera. A very low growing plant that I find, and with a lovely bloom. Not many blooms, but you get lovely blooms. The next one here is one of my wife's favorites. This is one called JS Butterscotch. It's an A rating, informal decorative, and I have it on the tag here that it's violet. It is nowhere near violet. I mean, there's a strain of violet to it, but I mean, you can see a little bit of that kind of a coloring in the orange-violet kind of hue, but I'm going to have to go back and check that one. Anyway, the greens are, I would call yellow, slightly touched the green slightly touched towards the yellow palette, and looks like they're fairly good quality. And there's more JS Butterscotch right there. I had these visited already by the Japanese beetles as well, but what color it is that they don't like. I mean, they like obviously the yellows and the whites. These ones, by the way, are the first ones coming out that I have of Big Guy Slice, which is a BB laciniated in yellow. Most of the other plants that I have are not out yet. These were ones that were planted earlier than the rest, so that's a normal condition. Now we have one that's been around for a long time. Not very many people still grow, I don't know why, but this is one called Magic Moment. It's a bee semi-cactus in white, and it's, as I say, it's been around for quite a while. This is one that's unique in the fact that perhaps you can see the edges of the petals have these little barbs off the edge. And as I say, I haven't seen very many of those. I've seen some in the orchid class of some cultivars, but I haven't seen that on any other dahlias at all. And here is the, again, well sought after Dakara Jodi. This is one that I said a couple of years back, maybe 3 years back, in a video made back then. I was holding on to it because I wanted to get a second look at it, because the bottom seemed to change color as the time progressed, and it faded right out. Well, I'm happy to say that I did keep it, and perhaps that was more of a concern that one particular year, but I think that's doing pretty good. If you take a look at the colors, it seemed to be holding really quite well. Anyway, we'll go back to irregular there. Yeah, this will continue to wind up being part of my patch for the ongoing future. I've got actually 6 of those plants. If I move back here a little bit, you can see that there's the quality of the 6 plants. They're all doing very well, so I'm very happy with them. Now, Encore. Encore or Show and Tell. I'm not sure which way to go with this particular one. It's got a little bit of yellowing to the leaves, but it was one that was originally, it went necrotic on the edges as well. Now, I suspect that this is a condition that's due to the fact that I'm assuming now that there's more water content to the leaves of this one and to the flowers of this one than a lot of other plants. Both Encore and Show and Tell are the first ones that when you have a very light frost, you will find that the leaves become damaged. They look smoky looking across the top, and you might as well forget about any more buds coming out. So with a very light frost, and you can color them gone. But up until that point in time, they are a lovely orange with yellow edges to them for the Encore, for the Show and Tell, and for the Encore, it's a yellow and a very, very deeply, has a very deep depth to the flower, and the large width to it. It just makes a great big yellow ball that's laciniated. Now the next one here is called Eveline. Now you can see that there's 4 plants here, and I've always considered this to be one that if I was making up a bride's bouquet, I think this would be one of those flowers that would be on it. It has a lovely blush of purple or lavender to the center of the bloom as it opens up. You can see here as well, they do open up quite well. The centers actually straighten out fairly well. Now you can see this is one that's a cluster of 3. The bottom one is past its prime. The middle one is just a little bit smaller. It's got some ways to go, and obviously the top one is just unfolding. But anyway, it's a lovely one, whether you're going to go to the shows with it or whether you're going to be doing it on the cut flower trade. Now, Dakara Jubilee is another one that it's coming up, but it's not growing very far, and I'm not quite sure about that one. It's another yellow laciniated that I've had in my patch beforehand, and I would love to have a good quality version of it. I'm not sure that this is it just yet, but anyway, beside it I have one that's, if I can do a sideways thing here, if I can figure out this gimbal, that's one called Clearview Sundance. I've got no flowers on it yet, but it won't be long. Now this one in the center here, obviously this one is not going to thrive. Sometimes the ones that come up in the center are like that. So what I just do is I just take them out and just let the 2 wing buds take over. Now this is one that I'm not sure, it came from, I think either who was it? Somebody in Hamilton gave me this one, whether it was Bernie. maybe Carolyn. Any case, it's Heart's Tickle Pink. I had it back about three or 4 years ago, and then again it was one that came through with pot tubers. I didn't plant it in the ground last year, should have. Missed it just because of the fact that I was planting all these by myself and I simply ran out of time. With the COVID situation, there was no way that I could wind up arranging for help. Not many people wanted to travel far, and we were a little bit uncertain at that point in time what we were required to do. But this is a great big coarse petaled pink, and this one that you see here is about 9 inches across, and it will certainly get bigger than that. Obviously with a AA rating, AA ID pink is the classification for it. It will exceed 10 inches without great difficulty. Now next to it is one called Wind's Ghosty. This is not what I would call a good quality bloom on this particular one, but it's the right cultivar. But it's been visited by bugs, and it's not really blooming all that well. I'd be tempted to just whack those off and start again. In any case, the next one is, this is not, as the sign says, Hilltop Lost Treasure. This is the first cafe au lait bit of nonsense that I'm growing here on my wife's behalf. My wife likes it, so I grow it, and obviously I have little difficulty in selling tubers, but it is far from my favorite. I don't like its shape. It's a lovely color, and it's just about enough said for that. In any case, it also has another thing happening this year which I thought was kind of interesting. You can see this is a weather thing. I think it is a case of where it doesn't like heat, and sometimes this can be caused by too much heat early when there's still got like dew or rain on the plant. But the edges of the leaves go necrotic, and it will get past this, but it certainly does not help it at all on its path to growing good blooms. In any case, I had a few plants that were beleaguered with that. Encore had it, Just Peachy had it, and there you can see that that particular one, oh, I should point out, that's not Cafe au lait. That's a Hilltop Lost Treasure, which is a bee semi-cactus light blend that's had that necrotic edge to it. You can see some necrotic edges to this one, and you can also see a little skipper that's down in there hiding in the leaves. You can see him down in there. I also am on the bird and butterfly site, and I enjoy looking at all the pictures that people have taken with that as well.